let's have a look at the Western DVD cover for Masaki Kobayashi's Samurai Rebellion from 1967. Samurai Rebellion. Oh, look at the samurai. Look at the blood on his sword. Look at him disheveled from combat. Ugh. Wouldn't you know it, this cover art does not adequately represent what the film is. I hate to come down on Criterion in literally any way, as they've done a whole lot for movies, but this is an issue that extends to most Western releases of Japanese cinema with even the slightest whiff of genre that can be blown up by distributors. But Zach, you say, the movie is called Samurai Rebellion, and yes, fair point. But a primary theme of the film happens to be how insidious fixating on appearances can be, for individuals and society at large. For the majority of its runtime, it's also more of a domestic drama than it is a samurai film, foregrounding socio-political overtones and female characters with a lot of power and agency and a departure from the genre's conventions. These are elements distributor and co-producer Toho Studios sought to amplify in Japanese marketing for the film, to net a broader female-slanted audience, and to differentiate the picture from the wildly successful Harakiri, which director Masaki Kobayashi directed for a rival studio. And if you haven't seen Harakiri, like yes, but also, yeah, it's that good. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Samurai Rebellion follows once legendary swordsman Isaburo, who, despite his lack of purpose in uneventful times, and an unfulfilling arranged marriage, lives in relative harmony with his family, until it is decreed his eldest son marry the clan lord's former wife, who has quote-unquote displeased him. Isaburo doesn't want his son Yogoro to end up in a loveless marriage like he did, but his objections accomplish nothing. The family is pressured into accepting Lady Ishii, who we learn assaulted the lord and another woman. The family assumes she's a raving, pampered lunatic and are prepared for the worst. But she turns out to be very respectful and intelligent and kind. To everyone's surprise, Yogoro and Lady Ishii fall very deeply in love. She's no mad woman, as the lord's claims suggested. We learn instead that at 19 she was abducted against her will by a creepy old man. Still, out of respect for the codes of the day, her family and his, she bore him a child and did everything she could to be a good wife and mother. And when she came back from postnatal rest and found him surrounded by young mistresses, she very understandably snapped. Lady Ishii is eventually welcomed by the family and gives birth to a daughter with Yogoro. All seems to be well until the lord's only heir succumbs to illness and he decides he wants Ishii back to be a mother to his new heir, the son she bore him. It's a demand that completely disregards her humanity and her family's stability, all for the sake of appearances. Isaburo, who has lived through a loveless marriage at the behest of the lord and societal codes, is deeply touched by Yogoro and Lady Ishii's romance. Ultimately, he decides that he will fight to protect it, even if he stands alone. Now, this is all based on a true story that almost wasn't told. The film examines how history is written by whoever is in charge to paint the most flattering portrait of their actions possible. To that end, it's also a testament to individual conscience, as most of Kobayashi's films are. Samurai Rebellion, in particular, shows how insidious and impenetrable the mob can be when maintaining the status quo. They do so even at the cost of basic human dignity, always pointing to the slowly bending rules and systems instead of recognizing the people those systems are failing. Kobayashi uses formal Japanese architecture as something constraining and claustrophobic, suggesting the characters are trapped by the customs of their society. Fittingly, in the final act of the film, the family home is stripped down to the essentials in preparation for combat. Ensemble framing and staging in the film indicates power imbalances in the shifting dynamics of the household, and some intriguing dialogue exchanges lampoon what I can only think to describe as the passive-aggressive politeness Olympics transpiring when the family communes with the lord and his subjects. So many films today drop us into action sequences with no context and thus no real stakes. They're huge and flashy and overblown in a desperate bid to hold your attention, but they do that a lot better if they just took some time to establish the characters in conflict. The final battles in Samurai Rebellion flood you with emotion because they've been built too organically. You care about the characters, and you know that they can be hurt or killed. Look, this is a movie that manages to hit a very specific kind of rousing, stirring high note, also found in Game of Thrones, Django Unchained, Braveheart, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and dare I mention it, Joker, where you watch a trapped character shovel so much shit, only to get more dumped on them, and as much as you may understand their apprehension, you're sitting there like, fight back, man, get in there, you're just gonna take this? And then finally it's the last straw, and they rise up against their slippery oppressors.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!
And that's when Samurai Rebellion hits you with the consequences of disrupting the established order. Without treading too far into spoiler territory, they're severe. People die, the family is divided and resentful, homes are destroyed. Kobayashi doesn't for a minute suggest Isaburo and Ishii should have acted differently, just that corrupt or outdated systems of authority pushing people too far will always have a cost for everyone. The easiest and best place to check out Samurai Rebellion is on the Criterion channel or on their DVD. Sorry about the cover thing. I hope you enjoy the film as much as I did if you end up checking it out. Next time I'll be looking at a bolder recent gem, one that will require me to touch on Joker again. See you then.
添い遂げとうございます。
この笹原の家を潰してでもだな。
はい。一殿。そなたの親の塩見兵衛衛門殿が一日も早く大奥へお引き取りくだされとご家老様に願い出られていること。いえ、父は父、私は私。一は死んでも大奥には戻りません。